On Friday, we had beautiful sunny weather in the 70s. On Saturday, your number 4 ranked University of St. Francis football team got 30-degree weather with snow and blistery winds en route to an NAIA record for points scored in the 79-20 win over Missouri Valley College in round 1 of the NAIA Football Championship Series.
Well, obviously, you get into postseason play, you want to be playing your best football. I do think our team is peaking at this point. I think the field conditions early presented issues for both defenses, particularly at the third level in coverage, because the receiver knows where he's going, the defender doesn't. So I think that gave them a false sense of hope early. We had the same, and then I think when the snow melted, you were able to see, just how the football team stacked up. So that's when we started the big run and performed very well.
Our confidence level is there. I think us being able to score 79 points in 30-degree weather when there's snow pouring down in the first half says a lot about our team, not only offense, but our defense and special teams. When they're able to make plays, it just helps the rest of our team really accelerate.
The Cougar offense compiled 613 total yards and 11 touchdowns, while the defense limited Mo Valley to just 262 yards and 3 scores. Quarterback Nick Ferrer and wide receiver Seth Coate were co-offensive players of the game, while the MSFA Defensive Player of the Year, Lucas Sparks, was named Defensive Player of the game. But it was sophomore linebacker Marcus Stepp that really turned and smashed heads on Saturday.
Well, Lucas Sparks has played consistent football the whole time he's been here, and he just gets better and better. Marcus is just now coming into his own. When we recruited him, we thought he was going to be an impact player, and today he is that. So we just want him to keep going in that right direction and keep elevating himself where he is really helping that defensive unit dominate.
And Coach knows a little something about domination and longevity. The Mo Valley win marked the 13th consecutive first-round playoff win for the Cougs. It's like Seth Coate's career. On Saturday, the senior had 8 receptions for 155 yards and 3 scores. He now has 3,008 career receiving yards, which moves him up to number 10 all-time in the Mid-States Football Association. His 43 touchdowns has him sitting number 5 on USF's all-time scoring list.
He's Cougar football. He grew up with it. I remember he was a little guy up on the sideline. So he's been in love with this program for a long, long time. His dad's a running back coach here. So what a great representation of this program. Now, going back to your next question. We've always tried to look at this football program as a microcosm of life. And that you reap what you sow. And then you have to be responsible for the things that you do and be accountable. You learn what commitment is. You learn what maximum effort is. You learn to love your teammates, believe and trust in them. And that builds a pretty strong foundation. I've had reporters ask, what's a senior class going to be like? I said, I don't know, I'll tell you in 20 years. Because you get a pretty good idea of it right now, but then you look down 20 years down the road and the things that they're making a difference in the world. That's what it's really all about. But as far as this class is concerned, we had to select a champion of character representative in week 1. So I had coaches do a secret ballot and let me know who they would be their choice. Not necessarily in their position, but a senior. I had 8 different nominations because this class is so solid with great people of character, good students, great team players. So I guess that's a good problem to have, but there's some other guys that certainly are deserving of that as well.
I guess I didn't know a lot of those stats, to be honest with you. I just sort of go with it week by week. But looking at the stats from previous histories, it's like, wow, I can only imagine, being up there with those great guys. and sort of, showing that the hard work has paid off and I'm able to, creep up on these guys. It's a huge honor, to be honest with you. I never thought I'd be up there, and obviously I wouldn't be there with the great team that we have and that I've had in the past years.
It wasn't easy at first for Coate, who saw himself buried on the depth chart when he first joined the team, but his commitment to the weight room and to the program has Coate amongst the Cougar bests.
I don't know if it was frustration. I think I had a lot of guys that were better than me in front of me, and I knew eventually my time would come and I'd have to keep working for it. I think that's where weight room workouts, extra throwing when it is 30, 40 degrees out with our quarterbacks in the off season, all that stuff just plays into the success we're able to have now. And I knew obviously coming in I wasn't going to be the so-called star player, and which is totally fine. That St. Francis is full of skilled players every year, and just to be part of that is an honor. Coming in my freshman year, in the summer we averaged 10, 12 guys a day, and then last year I want to say we averaged 60. So being able to say that I was part of every year of the continuous growth of the summer workouts in particular, it's good to see the transformation, the positive transformation, and be able for me to say that I have been there since the start of my career here at St. Francis. I think you have to put it upon yourself. No one's going to wake you up at 5 a.m. Middle of June, say, hey, let's go work out. You got to do it yourself and mentally and physically prepare yourself.
Coate saw his numbers explode during his junior season with Nick Ferrer as his full-time quarterback. Both are climbing the ladder of Cougar football superiority, and the two Cougs bond is strong.
I'll first describe him as very goofy and fun. He's very loosey-goosey, which is a good thing to have. He's not uptight. I think that helps him out on the field sometimes when things start to get a little hectic. It's like, Nick, come on, you're all right. Just get back to your normal self. Just start slinging the ball like you're good at, and we'll get back on track. And that's what he's good at, obviously, air for air. But just having his intelligence, both in school, in the film room, on the field, it really shows, and it really helps him, show off his athletic ability as well, his arm. So, he's got great assets for sure. Being able to go through progression in an organized manner of, okay, this is my first guy, second, third, fourth, and then maybe even having some time to go back to the first progression. Being able to stay calm. Obviously, his first choice isn't to run out of the pocket, which is fine. Us receivers like that. So he's obviously going to look for the pass first. But I don't think he doesn't usually force things, which is good. In certain circumstances, but I think he has the strength to force some things as well, which usually turns out for the better.
No doubt the combination of Ferrer to Coate has made the Cougar football program better, and scouts from the NFL have taken notice. Last winter, Seth ran a 4.5 40-yard dash for the Colts and the Browns in the cold and the rain, and the scouts keep coming back.
I've never really dreamt of it, to be honest with you. I came to college just to play college, have fun, and win. And, in doing so, I've been able to do that. I think it's very humbling. I think I've seen people do it before, and it's like, wow, what a great honor that must be. But, having those guys in there, it sort of makes you make sure that your head's on track. You can't start getting ahead of things. We still have 3 more games to win before I worry about any of that stuff. So, that's where we are.
So what do the scouts talk to Seth about?
They want to know random things about my life, to be honest with you. The one guy asked me what my favorite movie was, when was my last movie that I watched, sort of what I do in my downtime, just really random things to see how I react to their questions.
Coate's statistics are certainly impressive, but they don't have a statistic for the unbelievable grabs he's been able to pull in throughout his career.
I think it started when I was a young kid with my dad being around. He was baseball and football coach since I've been born. So being around all those players and, honestly like the larger sized footballs and everything like that was able for me to almost transform my hands to, be ready for tougher projects like that. But just being around sports really my whole life, I think I've seen so many different things. I sort of practice it. When I see something really cool, I want to learn how to do that. So it's sort of, putting it upon yourself to almost imitate someone else in a way. I think that's sort of where I get it from. When I was younger, I hung around Corey Jackaway quite a bit, Papa Giannis, all those guys from those teams, along with Mickey Cassidy. He was always fun to watch. Just, great character guys. You can learn a lot on the field and off the field from those guys.
The Cougars will be back on the field this Saturday to host number 5 Morningside College in round 2 of the playoffs. The Mustangs have 19 top 10 NAIA team rankings as part of the Great Plains Athletic Conference.
Well, first of all, they're a good football team. They have a great coach. I've known Steve Ryan since we played him back in 04-05, and I think he's a class person. I think he's a good football coach. I think he's built that program on the right things. He's teaching those kids about a value system other than just blocking and tackling. So I have a lot of respect for him. So I know that we're going to be facing a good football team. You watch them on film, they don't have too many chinks in their armor. They have pretty much dominated, with the exception of 2 football games early in the year to Whitewater, and they're a great team. And then they had their rival with Northwestern, and that was a shootout. And Northwestern scored close to the end of the game, decided to go for 2 for the win and missed it. So they've been in some tight games and they won it, and they've been in some tight games and they didn't early in September, and they pretty much dominated the rest of the schedule. So they're going to be a great challenge. When you get down to the final 8, quarterfinal here, you don't have anything but outstanding football teams. So you've got to be at your best in all 3 phases of the game.
Morningside relies on its running back, Tyler Kavan, who is the top scorer in the country.
Well, he's a physical runner. I mean, he's a downhill guy. He gets ahead of steam. You're not going to arm tackle him. You got to put a shoulder on him. You got to gang tackle him. He's a strong kid. And then they have a good front 5. That's going to open up holes for him. They like to run power football, and they protect the quarterback well. Who's a solid player, makes some plays, manages the game well, doesn't turn the ball over, makes good decisions. So they are solid defensively. They're down 4, about as good as we've seen. Great athletes. They just line up and come after you. And they're good athletes all over the board.
I think we need to play like our hair's on fire like we did last week. Putting up 79 points in a playoff game alone is a tremendous feat. I think that we showed that we were able to, do such a thing when the weather wasn't right. Maybe we didn't have all the plays that we wanted to run, but we were able to execute fully and sort of pretty much bury that team.